Hello ladies and gentle peeps. In this video I want to show you my drowned farm design that is based of course on an existing design which I then kind of simplified and made easier to build and maybe more straightforward to scale. This is a looting drowned farm, meaning that I want tridents and nautilus shells and I will kill the drowned myself with the sword with looting 3. But before we get into all of this, let's give you a quick visual tour of what's happening here. So as you can see, it's a big aquarium sitting in a river biome. It's actually 4 chunks wide, exactly 4 chunks. The inner part of the aquarium is 6 blocks wide, and therefore the outer walls are 8 glass blocks wide. Or deep, I guess. And then the specialty compared to many other drowned farm designs is that it is full of bubble columns, which still allows the drowned to spawn. It goes quite high up to level 128. And then it uses scaffolding as sort of a membrane, because the drowned, they will actually go through the scaffolding, land on top, and then get pushed by this water stream into this canal where they get transported to the middle. And here we have another bubble elevator, and behind some trap doors, which hold the water back, we have some turtle eggs to lure the drowned into the bubble elevator. And then they get all the way up here. And this is the AFK spot where the player would stand and kill the drowned. This all here is needed for some testing, which we will do in a minute. This is not part of the farm. This is just to give the player some XP and stuff. And then also, instead of a chest, I have some wool blocks so we can count the actual drops in a moment with carpet mod. But that's pretty much it. I will enable mini huts so you can see the despawn sphere. The despawn sphere is centered around the AFK spot, of course. And it's encompassing the aquarium as closely as possible. So I found this to be a good compromise in terms of size versus effort in regarding lighting things up and preventing other mobs to spawn. With that out of the way, let's disable the despawn sphere again, and let's put this to the test. And show you basically what drops you can expect. And this is now a demonstration also of carpet mod and how you can use maybe carpet mod to test your own farm designs, which I found very helpful actually. That's the first time I've done this, and yeah, I will from now on always do this. I think it's so easy and so nice to do. So what we want to do is we want to spawn a player, and you can call them any way you want. In this case, let's just say this will be Jeb, and I haven't found out how to change the bot player's game mode. So what I do is I get into the game mode, in this case survival, then I spawn the player, which will then be in your position, and then I change my game mode back to spectator so I don't interfere with the farm. So as you can see right now, there are no drowned spawning, and that is because the difficulty is set to peaceful, so we can just evaluate what's going on. I will set the time to day actually, even though the farm with the roof works at night and at day, should work fairly similar at night and day as well, but yeah. Let's go back to the testing. So as you can see, Jeb is holding a stack of carrots in the offhand and a looting 3, sweeping edge, unbreaking, mending, sharpness 5, netherite sword in his right hand. And what we have here is basically a large chest of bottle of enchanting and a simple repeater clock to basically throw XP at this player, at this bot, to repair the sword, because I blocked everything off here in this variant, so no drops would kind of scoot out. They all land on the mud block and then get picked up by the hoppers, and then we use carpet mod to count the actual drops, and I will demonstrate that. So we can do We need to, carpet hopper counters true. We have to enable them, so now they're enabled. And then we can say counter, and then it says no items have been counted yet. And now if we would throw in some items, they would land here and we would count them. Now the next thing we want to do is spawn tracking. And I think we just say start. So spawn tracking is disabled, type spawn tracking start to enable. Didn't I do that? Start. Okay. And now with this, we can track how many mobs are spawning, which is fantastic. So right now, no mobs are spawning because we're in peaceful. Right now, I will also stop this for a second because I want to set up Jeb further. We also want Jeb to eat, so he never starves out of hunger or takes damage, even though I have a beacon around with regeneration. What you can do is you can say player Jeb use and say continuous, and now he will try to continuously use the golden carrot stack to eat, but because he's spawned full and saturated, he wouldn't eat. And now the next thing is we want to have Jeb attack on an interval, and I think 40 ticks should be plenty. And now we can see this is happening as well, which is great. And now the last thing before we get this farm running, actually I need a torch real quick. We'll start this clock. So now every, I don't know how many seconds, there's a bottle of enchanting being dispensed. Now we go back to a spectator, so we don't influence the mob cap and the spawning of drowned. And all there is left to do is set the difficulty to hard. And we can then observe the drowned spawning. I will reset the counters and the spawn tracking once this is basically normalized. And you can see the drowns are spawning and floating up and going to the middle. And eventually, so what I've noticed is they are not picking or tracking the turtle eggs right away. And I feel like this entrance could be better, but you can see eventually they make it, and usually they make it before despawning again. So I don't know how to optimize this exactly. I also have the feeling at night they track straight right away to the turtle eggs. But so far it's been working well enough, and I will demonstrate to you why we use a bot player and that this is kind of true, and you know, all the rest of it. So now that the farm is running and Jeb is actually attacking the drowned and killing them, what we will do is now start the tracking of spawns, and we will do counter reset. So we have like a nice baseline, and now we can basically call up counter, and you can see on the cyan wool, we have rotten flesh 13, which would equal, oh, now it's 23. You know, now the numbers kind of normalize. And the nice thing is carpet mod will give you the hourly rates basically automatically. You don't have to do the calculation in your head. But now the problem is, of course, the spawn chance for tridents and nautilus shells is not particularly high. And I AFK'd here for hours, and then I starved out of hunger, or phantoms, or the sword broke, and there were like all kinds of issues with AFKing for a long time to see how the RNG would pan out. So what I do instead now with carpet mod is I say tick rate, and we're at 20 normally, and I will set that to 2000. So 100 times faster, and then we can wait basically for an equivalent time of 3 hours. So I changed this now, and you can see the drowned, they're spawning, and we can also see how much they're struggling with getting in and out there. But you can see it works fairly well. There are not too many despawning. And if we check up here now, it's funny because of the high speed, the mobs actually, are not rendered going like the full loop. They're kind of taking a shortcut to the glass. But now you can see we're really slicing and dicing. And let's see the counter. So we got 1 trident in the first 6 minutes, 225 rotten flesh, 16 copper ingot, 3 nautilus shells. We can do the spawn tracking. And we can see we get 165 spawns, which is equivalent to 1,128 drowned per hour. And let's step away a little bit so it's not too noisy. Now we already have 11 minutes in the bank. It's fantastic. You can really speed up your testing this way. And also maybe see if something is off, in day-night cycles, or if anything at all kind of disturbs the farm, influences the farm over a greater time span. So now we're at 1,070 per hour. Slightly dropping. I hope it's not dropping below 1,000. It should be around 1,100 from my previous tests. So now we're at 15 minutes. Let's check the counter. So we have 1 fishing rod, we have 2 tridents, 7 nautilus shells, and we can actually see if we can increase the tech rate to 4,000 and see how that would affect everything. Because I have the feeling, actually, it's not getting any faster while I'm recording. Let's see, is my CPU... No, we're not bound by CPU or GPU in this case. Okay. Not sure. Because I'm recording at the same time, I was wondering if Minecraft cannot be sped up any further. Let's check the counter. So we're at 22 minutes. Yeah, it feels like it's limited somehow. Anyway, I will let this run for basically 3 in-game hours. I will set it back to 2,000 because I know that worked. And then after that's done, I will get back to you and we compare the results. Okay, we're back. The time lapse hopefully worked. And in 3 hours in-game time, we got 15 tridents, which is 5 per hour. We got 555, let me keep that up here, 455 copper ingots, which is 150 per hour, lots of rotten flesh, and nautilus shells, we got 26.1. per hour, which is fairly good. I set the difficulty back to peaceful so we could keep these stats steady. Now we need to take care of our player bot here and stop him. So we can, I think, if we just say stop, it will make the bot stop attacking and stop moving and stop using. So that should do that. Then we can also remove this player. Oops, not Jill. Kill. Bep. And then game mode creative. Break this so the XP stops getting dispensed. So again, we use the wool block to be able to count these items. And it is kind of consistent with my previous sessions. In fact, I will look it up right now. So as you can see here on a previous run, we got slightly more lucky, a similar amount of copper ingots, slightly more Nautilus shells, and a lot more tridents actually in 181 minutes. And that is because the RNG, the drop chances are so low. You really need to run it for a long time to get a good average. But I would say it's, from all I've seen, from all the tests I've done, it's definitely 5 or more per hour. That's for sure. And I haven't seen it go over 10, I don't think. But yeah, somewhere between 5 and 10 is usually what I get. Okay, let's open up another one. And here we see yet another run a day earlier, where the spawning was actually not optimized. And again, we got like around 5.3 per hour, slightly over 180 minutes. Similar amount of copper ingots, similar amount of Nautilus shells. So I would say, we had 1065 per hour spawn. So that's also correlating with our current live test. All right, so that is basically the farm, kind of explained how it works and kind of demonstrated. Of course, I need to give credit to the guy who originally came up with it, which goes by the name of ncolyer or ncolyer or ncolyer. I don't know, but let me show you his video. It was posted 2 years ago, and he shows off actually the principle of using scaffolding as a membrane to let the drowned pass through. And also he explains that you have to have the drowns over a certain height to be able to move them by water streams. So there was a lot of inspiration, but he goes all out with nether portals and covering the entire river, and that was too much effort for my little survival world, which is why I simplified it, made it a little scalable for your own needs. But yeah, there you go. Thanks to this guy, and go give him a like, and yeah, support these support these smaller creators, and share the love, because yes, oftentimes you find the craziest mechanics, the craziest farms only by really searching a lot. And as I mentioned before, I found this on the SciCraft Discord, and otherwise I wouldn't found it. So as you can see, glass is by far the biggest component here. It's almost 6 shulker boxes full of glass, and therefore also sand. As I said before, you can make this 2 chunks wide, and you will get half the rates, of course. But if you only build this for yourself, and you want to FK 1 or 2 hours on it, and be sure to get some tridents and some Nautilus shells, do it like this. Or expand it later, build a 2 chunk wide and then make it 4 chunk wide by adding 2 chunks either side, or even 6, just be sure that your despawn sphere is accounting for that. Stone brick slabs for the roof, 2 shulker boxes, that should be fairly easy. Soul sand, it's a little bit. The scaffolding and stuff, I think the rest of it is super minimal. You can see like it's really not a lot. Glass is by far the biggest effort, and of course placing the blocks. Yeah, and I think the only the last thing is it has to be in a river. So if you go to Chunk Finder, look for a river biome where you can have 4 chunks of river, and maybe in a valley, or where the despawn sphere kind of nicely nestles in here, and you don't have to light up a lot of land. You can see here I lighted up these little pieces sticking out. You can either dig them away or just put a few torches down. And that was all the lighting I had to do because, yeah, the caves are not loaded in when you're up there. So I think with that being said, that's it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this design. Let me know, especially if you have any suggestions to what to improve. For example, here the turtle egg elevator thingy, I wish it was a little better. Maybe the spacing of these water conveyor belts, improving that, maybe shortening the distance between those two and then have one longer one in the back. Oh, it's thundering now. Great. Weather clear. But yeah, I hope you like that, and I hope you can build this easily, get some tridents, and have fun. Thanks, and bye-bye.